Welcome to another episode of Conversations in Music. I'm your host, Wes Byrd, and our guest today is a multi-instrumentalist from Los Angeles, California. He's worked alongside the likes of The Temptations, Miss Anita Baker, Miss Tina Marie, and Whitney Houston, just to keep the list short. He's a record label executive, and he's been serenading the globe since the 1980s. I call him G Money, but you guys may know him better as the one, the only, Mr. Gerald Albright. Welcome to the conversation. Gerald, what's up, bro?
I'm good, Wes. How you doing?
Awesome, man. Awesome. I don't even know what to say, where to start. I mean, you just had two explosive shows tonight, as usual. So tell me, you have such command of this saxophone. Where did that command come from? Like you can do whatever you want to do at any given time, at any speed, at any volume with the saxophone. How did you come to that?
Well, just putting the time in, listening to the masters. I'm a big Cannonball Adderley fan and
Mm-hmm.
Maceo Parker fan, and if I had to describe my sound, it would be a blend of the two.
Mm.
And especially Cannonball keeps me humble. Whenever I feel like I've escalated, I listen to a Cannonball record and go, okay,
Yeah.
more to come.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but I'm real passionate about what I do, man. And after all these years, I just still love the stage, and I
Mhm.
love playing for the people, and the comments that they have after the show. Uh, it's just so complimentary,
Yeah.
and keeps us going to let us know that we're in the right lane doing the right thing. So,
Right.
but we had a great time. It's always good to play at St. James Live, man. It's a great crowd, great staff.
Yeah.
You do a great hosting, and
Thank you,
it's a
sir.
beautiful series, man. So congratulations.
Thank you. It's a
Yeah.
work in progress. We're making it happen.
Yeah, that's
Definitely
awesome.
making it happen. So you grew up in the LA area, which is a mecca for music all over the world.
Mhm.
People travel for movies and music from all over the world. Tell me about some of your upbringings in the LA area during your younger years.
Well, I grew up in South Central LA, and I was very fortunate to be a part of a music program at Locke High School,
Okay.
which is right in the hood.
Mm-hmm.
But what came out of Locke and that music program were people like Patrice Rushen
Mm-hmm.
and Daniel Lamel, who did a lot of writing and arranging, and he's also a saxophonist for Rick James.
Okay.
The Earth, Wind, and Fire horn section has some members of Locke High School,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people who have done a plethora of records uh, globally from that particular high school. So it all started there.
Yeah.
And it made you up your game because the musicianship there was
Right.
just like
Hi. Yeah.
real tight.
Yeah.
And so from there, I went to college, business management major, music performance minor.
Mm.
And I wanted to learn how to read contracts and deal with the business side of music, which of course is very important.
Right.
And so that was helpful in that way. And then it was just after I graduated, it was about doing recording sessions with a lot of great people, and I was very fortunate. I started out Patrice Rushen. I give a lot of credit to because she was kind of like the launching pad for a lot of the stuff that I was doing on the West Coast at that time.
I got you.
Doing the 16 bar solo on Forget Me Not's her biggest hit.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of steamrolled from there. I went on tour with her between 1980 and 1985, both as a bassist and a saxophonist. People didn't know that I played bass, and I replaced Freddie Washington, who was the original bass player.
Mm-hmm.
And mid-tour, he had to leave to do some production projects, so I stepped in. I auditioned as a bassist, and then played the remainder of the tour with her. And then when I got back to LA, everybody the word kind of spread, and I started doing bass on records and with other live artists and live groups. And so it just kind of snowballed from there, man. I'm very humble to it because, there's a lot of saxophonists out there, a lot of bassists out there. And, I was blessed to be called for a lot of those sessions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you bring up the 80s, which now we're in 2023.
Yeah.
Your first record was released in 1987.
1987.
So I'm curious, when you first came in the game until now, how have you seen the industry change, specifically our genre, which has gone through so much,
Right.
and with streaming now part of it, and the live show is kind of changing. What are some major changes you've really seen, and how have you made those adjustments?
Well, big changes.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, 1987 on, let's say between 1987 and 10 years later, uh, I was known as an R&B instrumentalist. I wasn't really known as a smooth jazz player.
Okay.
So we were doing videos back then. We had
Mm-hmm.
great album budgets back then. We were treated like R&B artists because that's what we did. We did R&B instrumental music.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a great time. All the video cable channels would play our videos and stuff. It was
Yeah.
good time.
Yeah.
And then Clear Channel bought out most of the stations coast to coast, and then the playlist changed, the air personalities changed. In a lot of cases, the air personalities got fired because everything became computerized.
Mm-hmm.
And so the personality of the stations suffered. But then smooth jazz came about, and uh, the budgets got smaller. Uh, the, uh, the area that the music was being heard got smaller. Less stations, less radio stations, and things like that. So all of us had to make some big changes. Instead of going into recording studios, the traditional ones where you're paying $150, $200 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, like myself, built their own home studios and started cutting their records in their homes, and getting musicians to email files and do drop boxes and hard drives, and so we were putting together records because the companies weren't giving us the money to do it the old way. So we had to shift gears, and that's what we're still doing today in a lot of cases. But it's very effective, and I'm glad that the music is still alive, and we're still doing it after all these years.
Yeah. Also, during this time period, you mentioned that you started your own record label.
Yes.
How has that transition been from you now, the sole owner of your own stuff, because you were working on album number 23? Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Album number 23.
Tell me about your journey now as a record label executive.
Well, it was a step out on faith, West. Very scary. It was scary, but after 20 some records of 18, 19 records, I would say, of doing it the old way, signed to major labels, and now I'm writing all the checks, from beginning to end, the whole process. And so it was scary, but sometimes you just have to jump off the cliff and fly, and that's what I decided to do because I got family, I got 2 wonderful kids, I got grandchildren now, and it's really about ownership and the legacy of your your masters. And so now I can license my own masters and control that entity where we can make a couple of more bucks, and do it the right way for the family's advantage. And so I think it was a very important move, and I see a lot of other artists doing the same thing, becoming independent. In this day and time, it makes sense if you do it the right way, and if you're willing to do the work. I mean, it's a lot of work. Because you're wearing all the hats now. But I enjoy that. I love having my finger on the pulse, and business-wise, getting from point A to point B, and everybody involved, namely family, benefits from it. So it's a good thing.
Yeah, you bring family in, and this is somewhat of a family affair for you because you've watched Selena grow up. And now she's blazing her own path in this music industry. I'm sure that makes you proud.
Very proud.
How have you seen her blossom, and she got anything on the horizon right now?
Yeah, well, she's really spreading her wings. She's now a permanent resident of London now. She lives in London along with her great family, and she's making contacts over there. She just did a tour in Holland here in the past couple of weeks. She's going to be doing a Christmas tour this year, reflective of some of the tunes that we did together on our Albright family Christmas tour, and we did a record as well, a Christmas record. So proud of her, man. I mean, she's got a full plate, mom of 2 little kids, recording artists, touring artist. She's doing it all, but she still loves it, and she's passionate about it, so she'll be just fine.
I got you.
Yeah.
So all these names got Gerald Albright in common. Anita Baker, Whitney Houston, several presidents, Maurice White, Phil Collins. How do you get around and stay relevant in a lot of these scenes, and these guys keep calling you back time and time again to collaborate on projects?
Well, it's really, again, it's just a real blessing. I know there could be a lot of people who could be in that position,
Mm-hmm.
but whenever I meet an artist and they're interested in me doing work for them, I try to give 200%.
Yeah.
I don't let up, man. It's like, okay, we're working with Phil Collins. That's a whole nother vibe. So I got to study his vibe, and I have to study Whitney's vibe, Anita's vibe. They're all different.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever they're looking vision-wise to bring to the table, I try to help them do that.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're satisfied, you do get the return call, and
Yeah.
that's a real blessing,
Yeah. What's your number one hobby? Let me hold your sax for a minute. Let me put it over here. What do you do for fun? What's your number one hobby?
Oh man, golf.
Golf.
Golf. I mean, that's the easiest question.
Okay.
I love golf, man. It's a sport that you can play forever. It's great for networking. My son Brandon is the real golfer of the family.
Okay.
He's a 5 handicap and driving the ball 300 plus.
Ooh.
He's that guy.
Yeah.
And I know whenever I get on the first tee with him, I'm gonna get spanked that day. But it's all about the quality time with my son.
Gotcha.
And but I just love the game, man. I'm a nature boy.
Mm-hmm.
And I live in Colorado, so on different golf courses, you don't know what kind of wildlife you're going to see. You might see elk, you might see bobcats, you always see deer, and rabbits and things like that. But it fits in part of my life, and it's something about hitting that ball correct, even if you do it one time in the 18 holes. It's something about hitting that ball one time correct, man. It keeps me coming back.
I got you.
Yeah,
I got you.
Yeah.
You've been all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
Give me one spot that's unforgettable.
I gotta say Europe. When I toured Europe, I mean the history there. Some of the arenas that we played there, Greece and Spain, and just most of this was done with Phil Collins.
Okay.
And you're just so humble to that, man. It's like when you do that and you come back to the United States looks like three weeks old,
mm-hmm.
In terms of history.
Mm-hmm.
And the people there just love the music, man. They adore the music, and they let you know. They do that here in the States as well, but I think the respect level for what we do over there is a little more appreciated. Gotcha. Because they're just very, very grateful. Here in the States, you can see all the artists you want to see anytime. You just get on the computer and go. That's not the case there. Mm-hmm. Sometimes people are saving money to see Phil Collins once a year.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So it's a great experience. So yeah, Europe for me. I mean, I'm a historian, and I just love, just seeing that history of multiple hundreds of years and thousands of years. It's incredible.
Yeah, mind-boggling for sure.
Yeah,
for sure,
no doubt.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier we're here in Atlanta at St. James Live.
Yes.
What you think about the venue overall, man?
Man, it's great. It's great. We look forward. This is our second time here, and it's
Two
always a pleasure.
Shows as well.
I'm not mad at that at all, Wes.
I ain't mad at it either.
I'm not mad at that at all. Yeah. And just a real energetic crowd, man. They know all the songs. They sing along. The cuisine is great here. Mm-hmm. I don't know who the chef is, but he or she is the real deal.
On point, yes sir.
And so we always have a great experience here. And you're doing such a wonderful job here, bringing great music to the community, and I'm a fan of yours as well, being the great musician that you are, man.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations on many levels.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Last question for you.
Yes, sir.
If you had to give any advice to your younger self, what would it be?
Ooh, wow, that's a good question. I would say have a little more patience.
Okay.
Yeah. If you allow things to just relax and occur, usually the outcome is more beneficial. In my younger years, I wanted everything now. Mm-hmm. I'm just like, let's go do it, let's go. But sometimes you have to just relax and exhale and just go, okay, let's deal with the process. We'll get to point B from A, but in due time, and just if I had it to do all over again, I would have gotten my independent label way earlier in my career than I did this time. You know, because it really works.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Let people know where they can find you online.
The hub for getting to me is GeraldAlbright.com. That's my website. It has, you know, all of my history there, my discography, all the social media. I have an internet store there where you can buy autographed EPs and CDs. And there's just a lot of information there. And I try to be as interactive as I can on social media if people have questions and things, you know.
Gerald, it's a pleasure, my brother.
Pleasure's mine, Wes.
G Money.
All day long. Let's do it.
Thank you, brother.
My pleasure.